I took my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old on the Disney Treasure for a 7-night sailing, and it was good at times, it was bad at times, and there were some things that were downright ugly. So stick around to the end because this is not an all fluff review. I will be getting into the realness. But first, if you're new, hi, I'm Mara. Welcome to Jetstream Adventures. I talk all things Disney parks and cruises as a real mom with an actual 4-year-old and 2-year-old, helping you have the best vacation with your family. So if that sounds like your jam, hit subscribe and stick around. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at Jetstream Adventures. So if you're on there too, let's be friends. All right, now let's get into it. And these are all good things that are specific to the Treasure rather than just things that Disney Cruise Line just well in general. The Disney Treasure is by far the most beautiful ship in the fleet. The name is the Treasure, the theme is the spirit of adventure, and it's done so aesthetically and so beautifully. I'm so glad that I had a 7-night sailing on this ship because there were times that I'd spent just wandering around, just looking at all of the artwork. In the Grand Hall, the main lobby, the statue is Aladdin and Jasmine, which for us millennials is so exciting to see. And the whole Grand Hall has this Middle Eastern theme that is done so beautifully. What I love about this Wish class series, that's the Wish ship, the Treasure, the Destiny, and then a yet to be named ship that's coming out in the next few years, is that the staterooms have actual theming to it, and the Treasures are even better than the Wishes and the Destiny. Our theme was Aladdin, which is so cute. I love it. And there's also Up and Encanto. The one room bedrooms are the Lion King. Whatever stateroom you pick on the ship, you're going to be happy with. I do also love that in the theming, the Treasure is really a love letter to the parks and has so many nods to the parks in it. If you are a Disney World and Disneyland lover, you will love this ship. The main bar just off of the Grand Lobby has a Jungle Cruise theme. Their speakeasy style bar is Haunted Mansion themed. They have Periscope Pub, which is a nod to the now closed ride that was one of the original opening day rides in Disneyland and Disney World. The ship is also really Easter eggy with things like that Periscope Pub, but then also in the main lobby, their main chandelier, there's a big chandelier in the middle, but then it has 6 little sconces surrounding it. And if you look closely, the Disney Treasure is the 6th ship. So there's 1 sconce for each of the 5 previous ships and then 1 for the Disney Treasure. And they each have a little picture on each one that is a nod to each of those ships. I was really surprised by this, but I really loved the itinerary. I was so afraid to do a 7-night sailing with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I was afraid that it was going to feel way too long and that, like, we were going to be trapped on the ship in the middle of the ocean and just wanting to get off and be done. But I actually found the pace to be really easy and relaxing, a lot more so than shorter cruises that I've done, the 4 and 5-night sailings on Disney cruises, where you feel like you have to pack everything in. In the 7-night sailing, a lot of the mornings we felt like we could just kind of sleep in, wake up when the kids woke up, which our kids actually did sleep in, which was nice. And just actually enjoy our vacation instead of feeling like you had to pack a lot of things in. Another thing that I was really pleasantly surprised by was because it was a longer sailing, because it was more of a relaxed pace, the areas of the ship tended to be less crowded because you had more port days and you had more time to enjoy the different areas of the ship. So as guests, we all tended to spread out more. So while there were some areas that still got pretty crowded during peak times, a lot of the ship, like the pools and the splash pad areas, were not as crowded as other ships that we've experienced, like the Magic and the Wish on shorter 4 and 5-night sailings, where everybody is doing more things at the same time and trying to pack it all in on a shorter sailing. I also really loved the Plaza del Coco restaurant, which is the Treasure's unique restaurant that is only available on the Disney Treasure. Because it's a 7-night sailing, we were in Plaza del Coco twice, so you got to see 2 shows, 2 different variations of the show, as opposed to the Treasure's sister ship, the Disney Wish, which only does 3 and 4-night sailings. So in the alternative to Plaza del Coco on the Wish, which is Arendelle, a Frozen theme restaurant, you only have 1 night in that restaurant with Disney's rotational dining. So with Plaza de Coco, the first night was a more casual show. It was just a mariachi band that was playing music from the movie Coco. And then the second night was more of an actual show with Miguel, Mama Imelda, Papa Hector, and the actual characters that sang songs from the show. Both nights, the food was really good. All in all, it was really good. I really loved the theming of that. As far as bad, there were some things that we didn't love so much. I think one thing that was most disappointing as a toddler mom was the lack of characters on the ship as opposed to other ships that we've been on. We've been on the Magic twice and we've been on the Wish twice. And on each of those 4 sailings, we have run into several characters just organically walking throughout the ship. We have so many pictures of characters that we have just run into randomly. And that's honestly the best way to interact with characters on the ship, because your only other option is going with the scheduled times that are on the app itinerary to meet with characters. And those lines can be ridiculously long. So long that you can get in line for, say, Minnie at 4:30, and you're standing in line so long that by the time you get to the front of the line, it's actually Daisy, because Daisy switches out with Minnie at 5:15. Yeah, you're waiting like 30 to 45 minutes in line. So not being able to have those organic character interactions was disappointing. Another thing that was kind of disappointing, though, was that some of the most exciting features of the Disney Treasure, like the Haunted Mansion bar, no matter what time we went in and we tried different days at different times, it was just always so crowded and we couldn't even get a seat. I felt bad because my 4-year-old, for some reason, was like so excited to see the Haunted Mansion bar. And she doesn't even really like the Haunted Mansion ride. Like, that's not one of her favorite rides at all. She's told us that she doesn't like the Haunted Mansion ride. But for some reason, I think it was the skeleton fish. I think that's all she wanted to see. But we could never get in at a time where we could truly sit down and experience a bar and order a drink because it was always so crowded. So that was a little disappointing. What got truly ugly, though, was we had 2 incidents that I was surprised to even happen. That's a story for another video. I was really disappointed in how guest services handled those 2 incidents. And I don't think it's unfair to place high expectations on a good experience guest service wise with Disney. The Walt Disney Company is a company that is studied in business schools. There are books about it. There are case studies on how great of an experience Disney puts on for its guests. So I don't think it's unreasonable to have higher expectations. I don't have to name names, but I think we can all think of a brand where you go into it having pretty low expectations for what customer service you're going to have. And Disney is not one of those brands. In those 2 instances that we experienced, I was just blown away time and time again that guest services was just not helpful. The departments on the ship were just not communicating with each other, and we as guests were having to do so much of the having different departments communicate with each other. They were not facilitating that on their own. There was also a lot of waiting around and waiting to hear back from guest services on different things. We were not able to get things resolved in a quick and timely manner. This is our vacation. We shouldn't have to spend hours and hours at the guest services desk waiting for someone to talk to their manager, but their manager's not on shift. So they're waiting for their manager to come in. And it took 20 minutes to even get that answer that their manager is not there. And we need to wait another 2 hours to come back for their manager to be there. It got so bad that our cruise ended and I had to have several calls with the corporate office, and the matters weren't fully resolved until like 2 months after the cruise. So that got a little wild and just unnecessary. Disney Cruise Line is experiencing some major growing pains right now. They have expanded from 4 ships to soon to be 8 and then 9 ships in a very short amount of time. They've clearly had to hire on a lot of new staff in the past 3-4 years. On our Disney Treasure sailing, that really started to show. And like I said, I think it all boils down to the fact that Disney Cruise Line is really rapidly expanding and they're just not prepared for that expansion. I have since been on another cruise on the Disney Wish and it went amazing. We had great experiences on our first 3 cruises, 2 on the Magic and 2 on the Wish. I do at this point chalk this experience up to just being multiple bad things that kind of dominoed into an awful experience. If you go on the Disney Treasure, I don't think you will have this awful time that you'll be caught up with guest services the entire trip and not enjoy your trip. I think it was just a freak thing that happened and bad luck. All in all, it was a really unfortunate experience. It did kind of put a shadow over the latter half of our 7-night sailing. I don't think that you're going to have an awful experience on the Disney Treasure by any means. I think this was just like weird flukes that happened to us that probably will not happen to you. But like I said, I am giving our honest review. This is not fluffy. I am giving the realness. I'm telling it all. This is a high-level overview of our experience on the Disney Treasure. So if you have specific questions for me as a toddler mom, leave those comments below. I'd love to do another video getting into the specifics on that. And I do actually read all the comments and I do respond to them and or make videos on them. I love hearing from you. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and stick around. Also, don't forget to follow on Instagram and TikTok. In this next screen, I'm going to throw my Disneyland 101 video. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's a great high-level overview of Disneyland. And then I'm also going to throw this video into a playlist with everything on the Disney Treasure, all of my Disney Treasure videos. I'm going to link that playlist in the next screen as well for you to watch. So in my first few videos on this channel, we went to Disneyland and I did a specific Disneyland series that was like 1 week after the other. Everything funneled into a Disneyland playlist. But now we are in 2026 and I have several trips that we have taken in late 2025 that I have to catch up on. We stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. We went on the Disney Treasure. We stayed at the Disney Swan. We went on the Disney Wish. We did a day at Epcot. I have so much ground to cover. It's also now 2026 and things have updated in Walt Disney World, in Disneyland, in Disney Cruise Line. I want to make videos that cover those 2026 updates as well. So on this channel, I will be jumping around a little bit. If you have any specific questions, feel free to leave a comment below or email me hi@jetad.co. I will respond and or make a video accordingly. But on this channel, I'll be jumping around a little bit in the next couple months. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.